So we have to explain to her during the process that, okay, I'm just letting you know, at first, the first couple of weeks, your brows are gonna be very bold and intense, and then they're gonna go through several different healing stages, and then after the healing is complete, then you'll see the final result. But you don't wanna judge them until 4 weeks has passed, because basically it takes 30 days for your skin cells to turn over and rejuvenate. So we tell them not to judge their brows until 30 days because they're not fully healed until basically give me. So the way that we do the mapping is off of the points of her face. So it's going to create a shape that's ideal for her. Now, if she doesn't like it, then we just make a gentle suggestion like, oh, I would recommend if you have your brows a little bit shorter, because of when you turn to the side, your side profile, it looks more flattering. If it's, just the word choice is really important, and that's something I had to learn through having it. You don't want to be like, bitch, that doesn't look good. I don't like that. You gotta make it like, let her see what you're saying. But also it's what you post is what you attract. So like I said, if you have the same type of look, the same type of plan, the same type of brow shape, people are gonna show you your photo when you say what type of look do you want. They're gonna pick the best one off your page. That's the goal, is to have enough content so that they can see themselves, okay, I'm brown skin and my eyebrows are a little big, and then they can see a post right there and, oh, I want it to be like this. But just being gentle, like, I would recommend if we try it this way instead. How about I draw one eyebrow and see if you like it? And then, we can make adjustments as we go. So the way I basically say it from the beginning is, I clean their skin. So I do the client consultation. I have her fill out the client consent forms, lay her down, clean her skin with alcohol. So in here is green soap cleanser. So green soap is the same thing that people use when you get a tattoo. It's alcohol based. And you just clean her skin, have her sit up. The reason why we have her sit up is because people's eyebrows tend to change when they're laying down versus facing you. Some people have a dominant brow muscle, most people do. So 9 times out of 10, one will be a little bit higher than the other. So the way that we draw has to basically level them out. So we use this for the beginning of the procedure and after the procedure, just to make sure that the skin is very, very clean. We don't want to have any product on her forehead, her temples, her lower eyelid area, because we're essentially using needles and ink, and we don't want to get any germs in her skin. So I wipe all the way up to her hairline, and you can kind of go in circular motions, and then you just keep wiping and wiping until your baby wipe is clear. But yeah, so the way that we map when someone has no hair is just basically you want to look at the distance between her eyelid and her brow bone. You just have to pay a lot more attention to this area. Like, you don't want to make them too high, or you don't want to close out their eye by making the drawing too low. So I'm just gonna, next step, clean her skin. Now I'm gonna use a razor to shave off the excess hair. Can you guys see me? You can come closer if you want to. Oh, y'all got your phones out? Okay. So we want to make sure we pull her skin taut like this with our free hand, because we need her skin to be as flat as possible. Could you move a little closer to me? Thank you. Now you can use those razor sticks if you've seen in the beauty supply. They're less blunt, so it's not as intimidating as using these razors, because you might be scared to cut them. But those blades with the stick on the end work just as good. Now with the blades, you want to make sure that you use one per person. These are disposable single-use items, so we have to put these in the sharps container as soon as we're done. So that goes for these razor blades as well as the blades we use to perform the procedure. So I'll just hold the pencil to show you where this line is. And so we press it, so it's wrapped around my index finger. And then I have my thumbs at the top, and then I'm pressing it and then gliding it. So I just shift it to the, do you want to see? So I place it right here, and then I just slide it across to get that top line. So it's literally just gonna stop right where it needs to stop, but I have my line there to tell me that's how far her tail should go. And then you can turn back this way. And then this line, we stretch her skin and then freehand down. Now we wanna make sure that this doesn't go up too high right here, because it's gonna make her look angry, and we want to make these lines even. So this is a soft curve. This is going to be a straight, soft curve going to a point at the tail right there. So I have my left hand and my ring finger, and I'm just stretching her skin flat. And then this pencil is up like this. So I'm holding the pencil straight like this, and I'm doing short strokes to connect the top tail line to the bottom tail line. Now I can just work on this a little bit more, make it more defined. And then I will look at it from a bit of a distance. I always step back just to check how it's looking, because when I'm up close I can't really tell. Now that I've stepped back, I can see that this looks a little thin right here. She needs a little bit more, a little thicker at the arch right here. So I can freehand this part. And then Chelsea, could you grab me those sticks out of the bucket over there? So I want to be mindful not to close out her eyes, so I just want to adjust this line a little bit. Now that I've stepped back and looked at her, I'm like, that needs to be up a little bit higher, I think.
Big difference.
Mm-hmm. So if she said to me, oh, I just want, what'd you say?
Eyebrows make a big difference.
They do, right?
Yeah.
That changed her whole face. And it can make people look younger. Like, we have a lot of power right now. We can make them look angry. We can make them look sad. Like, she's trusting us. So we gotta make her look youthful, happy, beautiful, pleasant, sweet. You know, I think the way that we create that kind of look is giving them a soft arch, not doing too much in this area, and just paying attention to the shape of her eye, the shape of her nose, her features. You know, I'm analyzing her entire face right now, and that's why I always like to just take several steps back and then come back, see, okay, no, I think this looks a little too closed out right here. I'm gonna take it up a little bit, or I think this tail would look better a little bit more out, a little bit more snatched, give her a little bit of a lift. So you just wanna, you know, always check at different angles. But yeah, so once she approves of the shape, now I can go ahead and start drawing the other side. So this is when I just take my string, and I have this guideline here, so I'm just gonna connect. Still a little too high above the shape that we're drawing, so I'm gonna take my razor and shave her brows again, whatever is outside of my line right there. Be right on our line, because that's where the needle is going, and it can kind of make you go above or below that line with the needle. So whatever's outside your shape, just shave it off. And don't be shy, because you're going to be filling them in anyway, so her hair will grow back essentially, but we just have to tell her to maintain her brow grooming. And I tell them they can just do it themselves, because at that point it's easier. You have the whole shape there, you can just shave whatever is outside of it very easily. So now we have the same. Turn this way a little bit. Just step back and I analyze what is the difference between the two and which one do I like better. So I'm staring at the top, I'm staring at the arch, I'm staring at the tail, I'm staring at this line underneath her brow bone right here, and I just want to make sure that they look even. So now I can say, okay, I think that this is lower right there still. That was what I was noticing before. So that's because her brow bone on one side of our face is round and one side is more flat. So naturally, this can be an area that we have to pay a lot of attention to. Okay, so now we can just show the client and see if she approves of the shape so far that we've done. And if anything stands out to her, because sometimes I'm staring at it too long, I just want to double like a second pair of eyes just to make sure that she might say, oh, this tail is different than this one. I'm like, okay, and then I'll just make that adjustment. But if she doesn't see anything, then I can proceed. But it's just giving her an opportunity to. It's
hard to not look at the hair and just focus on the line.
Yeah. So So you can fill it in. So sometimes I do that just to get a full visual. So now I would take the brown pencil. So you can do it this way and it makes everything a lot quicker. But if she needs a full visual, or sometimes you do have a client where say she has no eyebrow hair, then you're gonna have to fill in the whole shape. It's gonna be an ombre look and not all filled in there. Now when you do micro shading, it's the same kind of deal because you're gonna outline to the whole, you're gonna outline from here to here as well. But when you're doing micro shading is you would literally take the pencil and draw the strokes that you're gonna design on her. Like that. So when you're outlining with micro shading, you're not only outlining the shape, you're also drawing these strokes as well. Does everyone know the difference between micro shading and ombre?
No, I was gonna ask.
Okay, so there's two techniques that we can offer. One is with hair strokes in the front, so the hair strokes more like a microblading where it's just lines to mimic the brow's natural hair. And then there's also ombre brows where it's only powdered makeup so it'll look like mine.
Okay.
So ombre brows is the service that we offer to everyone because everyone can get it done and it looks good on all skin types, even if people have oily skin, bad skin, dry skin, thick skin, thin skin. Ombre brows works for everyone considering they don't have contraindications like we talked about earlier, like the skin conditions and stuff like that. But micro shading is only suitable for a certain group of people. So that would be people with dry skin, people who already have brow hair in the front is very important because you don't want to just draw lines with nothing to cover it. It doesn't heal very well over time. So whenever somebody has very minimal brow hair, I like to do ombre brows on them. And ombre brows is best for women of color with brown, deep dark complexions. So hair strokes it's only a handful of people that I would say do that on. But it's good to know how to do it. It's just a slightly different technique. So that's how you would kind of fill it in, would you say? So that's a micro shading brow mapping process. So I can see my guidelines. So when I outline, I can trace those as well. But for just ombre brows, you don't need to draw those lines. So you just fill it in. And then leave the front soft and open so she can get a visual of what the ombre effect is going to be. And I usually just wipe off the excess on my glove so that it's not too wet. And then I want to use this to clean up the edges of my work. The final measure is to take a photo in the Feet app. So Brows Academy, like I was telling you, they have an app called Feet app. So it's PHIAPP. I want you to download that. I have the pro version, but the free version works just as good.
Oh, you said it's that app?
Yeah, Feet app. PHIAPP. And so when you open it up, it looks like that, and you're just gonna press start and measure. Okay, so we go to start, measure. Now there's an oval in the phone, so you wanna just make sure she's looking directly at the camera. All right, so the red line goes through the center of her nose. The white line goes to the center of her pupils. That's why we need to make sure we're in good lighting and she's looking directly at us. I'll hold it up like this. Is that good? Can everyone see? Mm-hmm. Okay. So these circles on the side, the circles on the side is what you can use to tilt the photo if you didn't take it straight enough. But also we don't want to pay attention to the shape of her eyes when we're using this white line because some people have different shaped eyes. So we're actually just looking at her eyeballs. So we zoom in there, and then these two lines here are used to tell us the distance between the beginning of her brows. So we really want to be able to see her nose to know where they should be. So we use that. So now I can see instantly that that left brow is coming back a little further than the right brow. So I want to take one of the other lines at the top to measure the arches. So now that I have this line here, I want to pay a lot of attention to the space in between the line and my drawing. It looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. But say if one of these was thicker right there, I'd be able to take one of those sticks again with the green tip on it and just remove that line, yeah. So this helps us to really see the small details of everything that our eyes might not have caught, and even she might not have caught. Because a lot of times for me, it'll be like one of the tails will be longer than the other, and I couldn't see that looking at her until I took this picture, and I was like, okay, now I can see. So we have these other lines underneath, so we use one to measure the underneath part, and again, just looking at the distance between the drawing and the line to make sure that the distance is the same. So I just mentally prepare my client by letting her know, okay, so the next step, I'm just going to outline the shape very lightly. It'll take me about 2 to 5 minutes on each brow. It's pain-free, it feels similar to threading or waxing. And once I have that outline done, I'm gonna put the numbing cream on and it'll be numb for the rest of the procedure. So now she knows, okay, it's gonna be a little bit of discomfort, but it's not painful, it's bearable, and it's only gonna last a few minutes and I'm gonna be numb. So don't freak out because it doesn't feel as bad as it sounds. That's why our pressure, I'm on you about don't go too deep, not too light, not too deep. You wanna make sure that the line is consistent because we have to just get it done so that we get it right the first time and then put the numbing cream on. The reason why we work in small sections is because you might have one section that's not connected or it's too light or something. So you can just make that little adjustment before you continue up any higher. You need to make sure it's the same kind of movement, same pressure, the same sound, consistent. I think if you take your nails off to practice, it's going to be easier. I mean, enjoy the set while you had it. I didn't wear nails for a good year. Because, like I said, it's better when you're using the tips of your fingers, and when you have long nails, you have to do it like this.
Can you show up for you even when you don't feel like it? Because this is all a part of my story. Because things go wrong so that life can go right. It's another one of my mantras. Because I was built for this. Whatever it is, I was built for it. Right? Like all things are happening for my good, even the bad. When someone says, oh, that person is stuck up and their prices are too high, what is your mantra? How are you feeding your mind? Whose narrative are you subscribing to? Or do you fall into the trap? Does that make sense? Yes. Because weakness of attitude becomes weakness of character. And the fact is, we all have a plan. We all are like, oh, I'm gonna be in the beauty industry, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I'm not even in the beauty industry, honestly. And then also knowing that you are not for everybody, at all. So we are not in the business of convincing. I'm never gonna sit here and convince anybody to do my service or to train with me. If you don't want it, don't let the door hit you on the way out. No love lost, but I'm not gonna convince you. That means I don't know my value. What? Right? So it's, we put it out there, we plant the seed, and we continue to go plant more seeds, plant more seeds, plant more seeds, plant more seeds. And then we come back and we water it, and we keep going, and we keep going, and we keep going, watering. But then we keep planting more seeds, planting more seeds, planting more seeds, and then we water, and we go back to the first ones, and we water. But what a lot of entrepreneurs do is they plant the seed, and then they stand over it and demand it to grow, not knowing that we're actually blocking the sunlight, and we're wondering why it's killed off from the beginning. Does anyone know the difference between resistance and objections? Give it a shot.
The hesitation.
Okay.
More of a resistance.
Okay.
Hesitation to know I can't do it.
Okay. Absolutely. So resistance means that it is the hesitation. It's the issues that come up for them as to why they can't do something, right? The objection is after they've said no. That's the only difference. Resistance is actually inside of an objection, right? Objection is I had all of this resistance built up and actually I'm gonna say no, right? But what starts to happen is when you're posting on your social media, I really challenge you guys to write in a way inside of your captions that eliminates all resistance. What does that mean? I'm scared of it hurting, absolutely. I'm a baby.
They might not like it.
I might not like it and it's stuck on my face.
Right.
Why? What else?
Doesn't really work.
It doesn't really work.
You know, sometimes I don't want to lay that long, so you
Oh.
gotta let them know how
Yep.
you usually take.
The healing process. Will I heal? What does that look like? Right? So what happens is because if you guys, and I challenge you, not right now, but or we could take a minute to do it. Write down all of the resistance points inside of your business. When you write down all of the resistance points inside of your captions and inside of your videos and inside of the voiceovers that you have on your reels and inside of those things, now you can easily say, my client Sydney absolutely loves her brows and she was just raving about how pain-free this is. Now she just saves so much time in her life because she no longer has to do her eyebrows. And this literally broke down to being $30 a day and it lasts forever. $30 a day for a month. What is 30? That's 900, right? $30 for $30 a day for 30 days, you can change your life forever. She thought that was worth it, I thought it was worth it, and now XYZ. Right? So when you start to dead that, which the resistance first, it's harder for them to actually give you an objection. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So y'all are with me on what I'm saying as far as social media and how to dead the resistance inside of your posts, inside of your whatever, and then reach out, like actually have conversations. Another thing with social media is cross collaboration. We talk about this every time I'm here. Eyebrows and eyelashes go great together, right? Who do you guys know that does eyelashes that can rep your brand of eyebrows and you could rep their brand of eyelashes and now you could team up together. You're exposing people that love the beauty industry anyway. So now it's like, oh, brows done by Rose and lashes done by Sydney over here. Great, so now they have the ability, it's free exposure. Who can you cross collaborate with? Right? Or even for people that work out and go to the gym. The thing about that is, who wants to wear makeup at the gym, but I also want to have my eyebrows on?
Right.
So now you could work with Kayla over here. I don't know where I'm getting these names from. No idea. But you could work with Kayla, and Kayla could have a fitness clothing line, right? And it's like, okay, well, you can look super cute with your outfit by Kayla and your brows by Rose. So you're cross-collaborating. Who can you reach out to start to build those different relationships with? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Are you guys with me?
Yeah.
Another thing that you can do is hashtags. We all know that? I'm sure y'all know. Y'all have businesses here. But really maximizing on the hashtag lifestyle. So if it's PMU Atlanta, right? If it's PMU Miami, if it's PMU Arizona, if it's too big of a hashtag, and those are the things that you're hashtagging, you might get lost in the sauce because you're gonna have the giants inside of the industry posting the same thing. But if you are posting PMU Atlanta, permanent makeup artist Atlanta's best, right? It's probably lesser, right? So instead of it being 1 million inside of this hashtag, there's like 50,000 inside, or even 10,000 inside of this hashtag. And now your pictures and videos and reels will probably pop up on the top 9 while people are searching for who's gonna do my eyebrows. So we wanna make sure not to do super big hashtags if we don't have super big pages. Y'all might be like more popular, y'all might have millions and millions and millions and millions of followers on Instagram. If that's the case, do whatever works, right? But if you're building towards that, then you want to make social media work for you. Cool? The next thing is having a no matter what calendar. Now, no matter what means no matter what. When I first started inside of my journey, I literally would like, these were my hours. I was learning from my mentor 8 hours for 6 days out of the week, right? I was like, this is what I'm doing. At the time, I'm still struggling to pay my rent. I'm like, Mom, can you please send me some money? She's like, no, get a real job. And I'm like, no, Mom, I'm gonna do this. Then I call my sister and be like, yo, can you give me $50? Like, I was, one way or another, I was going to get to my mentor. I was going to learn. And sometimes I was sneaking on the bus, I was sneaking on the train because I couldn't afford to pay for it, but I also couldn't afford not to give it a shot because I did not want the life that I was currently living, right? And so inside of having a no matter what calendar, there's a lot of things that I missed when I first started building my business. Like, I mean, so many things that I miss. I miss baby showers, I miss weddings, I miss all the things. Don't schedule something. If you want me to be there, don't put it on my no matter what calendar. Right? If it's important for both of us to be here, then I will absolutely be there after my commitment. Because the fact of the matter is, if we have a job, right? We have a real job and we ask for time off and we don't get the time off, how come we'll let ourselves off the hook so easy? Does that make sense? How come our job is like, no, you have to be there and we go to work and we make it happen, we show up on time and we come professionally dressed and we do all the things and we have a good attitude and we do that for the job, but then when it's time to do that for ourselves, we're lacking. Right? So how are we, again, it goes back into who do you want to be inside of this business? How are you going to show up? Right? No matter what, for me, meant no matter what. And then personal development. Are y'all familiar with personal development? Yes. Everyone. Is there anyone that is not familiar with personal development? Everyone is. Yes. No. So personal development, you can go on YouTube, whatever you need to hear, on top of learning about eyebrows, on top of learning from the goats inside of your industry, which I really emphasize. Like, guys, I just went to the DR. I got back this past weekend. Yeah, I love the DR. But it was $20,000 for a 2-day training. And also, by the way, in order to go to this training, you have to be in a $55,000 mastermind, right? So investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in myself to make sure that I'm always learning. Because if we're not learning, we're dying, right? If we're not growing, we're retracting. There's no such thing as staying in the same place because the law of atrophy is always in effect. What does that mean? It means if you don't use it, you lose it. So for me, people might look at me and be like, 20,000, really, that's $75,000. Right? 75,000. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Because now, when I work with people, I'm able to charge $40,000 for a VIP day. Okay. You know, $25,000 for a VIP day because I'm willing to pay it. And I'm willing to pay attention. Does that make sense? So I say that to say that personal development is the thing that's going to reinforce your mind and your spirit. You can go on YouTube and you can literally put in anything. Motivation, how to be inspired, how to get up and not be how to stop procrastinating, how to get out of my own way, how to focus better, how to anything that you may need. There is a video on YouTube for, including how to get better at doing brows, which I really emphasize on, right? And then lastly is accountability. You guys are here in a group today. I would recommend starting a chat. Like, champion one another because you're all at the same starting place and the same class. Why wouldn't you have accountability with one another, right? Success is not an accident, it's a choice. And nothing creates success like having the right environment around.
Something was like, I've got to see it all the way through the end because I don't like starting things and not finishing them. So even though I wasn't good, like after my first 2-day class, I wasn't good, but I knew what to do. I knew the steps at least. So yeah.